Further introduction of myself, I wanted to thank the first Stephen Wolf, for his pitch on missions trip. If it wasn't for a missions trip, I probably wouldn't be here. I'd still be in the secular world, slugging it away, probably in the high-tech stuff where you work 3 years to develop a product that has a 12-month life cycle and do nothing for eternity. But for me, it was a short-term mission trip to Kenya. One morning during my quiet time, God says, I can use all your managerial skills in ministry. And again, sort of through a God process, I was given a voluntary severance package at Intel, essentially laid off, started volunteering at Plow, and that worked into a full-time position over a number of years. So it's because of a missions trip that I'm here today. And then on the other Stephen's Jamaica thing, I just wanted to, again, just like Tony said, encourage you to get involved. The Plow Association is taking several teams to Jamaica next April. We're going to build a skate park there. Andrew Palau and Luis Palau will be sharing the gospel in and around Kingston. And we hope to use both skate ministry as well as our festival evangelism model to reach the Jamaican people for Jesus Christ. So anything you can do to help Stephen will help the greater cause of sharing Jesus across that island that's extremely needy. That is a little bit of background. I do want to delve into the business of ministry. Just by way of definitions, business, of course, is a person, partnership, or corporation engaged in commerce, manufacturing, or a service. I would say as folks who are in the skate ministry business, we are providing a service. We're loving on the kids. We're sharing the gospel of Jesus and perhaps even imparting some additional skate skills so that they can ollie and nollie better. And as a ministry, I think Steve-O this morning said it much more eloquently than Webster's. But Webster's defines ministry as a person, church, or parachurch organization that exists to share Christ with others and or trains, equips, and mentors those already having faith in Christ. I hope that embellished that a little bit. They're a little bit more secular than that, but that's roughly the gist of ministry. So just kind of so I get to know you guys a little bit better, although I picked up a lot during the introduction this morning, where is your ministry business? So as a show of hands, are any of you tent makers? I define tent makers as those of you who have sufficient other income or some secular job that enables you to be in a skate ministry of some sort. Excellent, thank you very much. And then I know a lot of you are part of a church or an established ministry. There's a lot of Calvary chapels out there apparently that have skate ministries. That is so totally awesome. I love what they have out here at Calvary Albuquerque. I know Calvary Fort Lauderdale is the same way, and many of these other churches that many of you are a part of. Again, by show of hands, who's a part of an established church or church kind of ministry? Very good. The third category that I just wanted to touch on is the startup. Those of you who have a real heart for perhaps skate evangelism, little or no income, no team, big dreams. Super. You're one of the people that I'm most focused on in this presentation because to a lesser extent, the tent makers, but those of you who are part of a big congregation, a lot of what I'm saying perhaps has less applicability to you, but I hope there is something in there that will help you. And finally, I suspect some of you may be in an early stage ministry. How can we do it better and grow? Who would be in that category? Excellent, thank you. So the first thing that you need when you're going to start any sort of business or ministry is a vision. So what is the ministry that God is leading you to start? The following are some questions that I'd encourage you to ask yourself. Are you going to do a skate church or a church-based ministry? I've talked to some younger kids who have a real heart for evangelism, and they're kind of struggling with that. Some of them are just hanging out in skate parks, sharing Jesus, and they're trying to figure out where God is really leading them to do long term. So that would be a first question. I know some of you, like Chris Laurie, have a touring skate ministry, so that might be another calling. Or maybe it's a street ministry to just local skateboarders. You work your day job, and then you hang out with the kids, love on them at a skate park in the evening. And then, others of you are, of course, doing church-based ministries, and that's wonderful as well. And then for those of you who are just starting out, when does God want you to begin? I think most of you in here are already begun, and that's just phenomenal. But for those of you who are really just truly starting out, prayer needs to be the undergirth of everything that you do. So have you prayed about it? Have you researched other similar ministries that have been successful? It's very hard sometimes when you get going. The enemy tries to do things to discourage you. So there's as much research you can do, as much as you can learn about successful ministry models can really help you model your own ministry. I think that's one of the good things about this conference here. You've heard some good speakers who've got up and running ministries, successful ministries like Mason today, like Chris today, and they're sharing with you their stories, and that should be an encouragement about what a successful ministry looks like and how you can model a successful ministry. And then have you talked to other people about how long it took to get started and what was their developmental process? Again, I think you've heard some of that here this weekend. And finally, do you have people around you that support what you're doing? Having a board, prayer partners, donors, advisors, people that surround you, love on you, encourage you, will help you do the same to other people. If you don't have that infrastructure, that support network, it's much harder to try to do things alone than with some sort of team backing, people who are praying with you and supporting you. And finally, are these people who are supporting you leaders or followers? Having a team of leaders is obviously much more useful. And finally, there's always that ongoing problem of resources, time, but most importantly, money. Just in this day and age, money tends to drive things. Things are expensive once you get into a state ministry. As many of you have come across, insurance is just, a horrible expense. And so without resources, it can oftentimes be very difficult to be successful. And I'm going to touch on fundraising in a little bit. And then where does God want you to base your ministry? I know Tony and Yuli, although they're in Fort Lauderdale, have a real heart to move to Colorado, and I know they've prayed about that extensively. And so if you're contemplating starting a ministry or moving a ministry, again, undergirth everything you do in prayer. Have you researched your target market? Where is there a need? If there's already dozens of skate churches in a community, which there probably aren't too many communities that are that blessed, that may not be where God is leading you. You may be sent more to a desert area where you may be the first, a trailblazer, in using skateboarding as a means to reach kids with the gospel of Jesus Christ. So, is there a need in a location? Are there similar ministries already established there? Are there geographic reasons to be there? Oregon, where it rains 7 months of the year, it may not be a good place to do an outdoor skate ministry, but an indoor skate ministry like Skate Church, which is actually the oldest skate ministry, I think, in the country. They've been running about 19, 20 years now. Is running in an indoor skate church. Then a mission statement. Why do you exist? It's real important to have a mission statement because it undergirds a lot of what you do as you try to get volunteers, supporters, donors, being able to have what in industry we call that elevator soundbite, that short sentence that fully sums up what you're doing and are about is real important. For example, Livin exists to reach the youth with the good news of Jesus Christ through action sports using the median's video and live action events. I think that sums up pretty crisply what Livin is all about. And my friends over at Untitled Skateboards Ministry, Judd Heald and his team exist to represent Christ to the world. Very short and very sweet. And then they add another line, we are not religious, we are followers of Jesus Christ. So having a good, succinct soundbite or mission statement is very useful in terms of defining what it is your ministry does. Then there's the organizational aspect of your ministry, and we've touched on this a little bit in sort of my audience demographic questions that I gave you. For some of you, and I've counseled this to some of you who are tent makers with street ministries, trying to get started, starting a 501c in your own organization may not be the best thing.